Om Tat Sat. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Yatas sarvani bhutani pratibhanti stitani cha yatrai avo apashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. Jnata jnanam tatha niyam drishta darshana drishyabhu karta hetu kriya yasmat tasmai jnanaptyatmane namaha. Kuranti sikara yasmat anandasya ambare avanau sarvesham jivanam tasmai brahmanandatmane namaha. Bow down to that Supreme Atman. Established in this realization of the truth, the great sages lived forever in peace and equanimity. They were free. They were free from psychological predisposition, and hence they did not seek nor reject either life or death. They remained unshaken in their direct experience like the Meru mountain. Yet they roamed the forests, the islands and cities. They travelled to the heavens as if they were angels or gods. They conquered their enemies, they ruled as emperors, they engaged themselves in diverse activities in accordance with spiritual injunctions, as they realized that such was the appropriate conduct according to circumstances. They enjoyed the pleasures of life. They visited pleasure gardens and were entertained by celestial damsels. They duly fulfilled the duties of the household life. They even engaged themselves in great wars, and they retained their equanimity even in those disastrous situations where others would have lost their peace and balanced state of mind. They designed clothes. They did everything. Their mind had fully entered the state of sattva or divinity and was therefore utterly free from delusion. Last sentence was not there here. They didn't design clothes. Their mind had fully entered the state of sattva or divinity and was therefore utterly free from delusion, from the egotistic notion, I do this, and from the desire for achievement. They did it as the duty. If a king says, I am established in the Brahman, I will not do anything, what happens to the kingdom? Janaka is a prime example. Though they did not reject such achievements or the rewards for their actions, they did not indulge in vain exultation when they defeated their enemies, nor did they give way to despair and grief when they were defeated. They were engaged in natural activities, allowing all actions to proceed from them non-volitionally. Now follow their example, O Rama. Let your ego sense, your personality be egoless, and let appropriate actions spontaneously proceed from you. For the infinite, indivisible consciousness alone is the truth. And it is that which has put on this appearance of diversity, which is neither real nor unreal. Why neither real or unreal? As long as it lasts, it is real, but then it goes off, then it is unreal, in the absolute sense. Hence, live completely unattached to anything here. Why do you grieve as if you are an ignoramus? So you know what, after that Rama lived his life fully. He fought the Rakshasas. He fought Ravana. He did everything. Sita was taken away and he wept. Did everything. But he knew, heart of hearts, that all this doesn't matter. At times when he was resting quietly, he was the Brahman himself. Right. So this is the way to live, that's what he says. Rama said, Lord, by your grace, I am fully awakened to the reality. My delusion has vanished. I shall do as you bid me to do. Surely, I rest peacefully in the state of one who is liberated even while still living. Pray, Lord, tell me how one reaches the state of liberation. You want to. So you must understand that this is for us. All these questions. He is saying, I have already reached. Then he says, Lord, tell me how one reaches the state of liberation by the restraint of the life force called prana and by the annihilation of all self-limitations or psychological conditioning. Am I heard? You can hear me? Vasishta continued. They call it yoga, which is the method by which the cycle of birth and death ceases. It is utter transcendence of the mind and is of two types, this yoga. One is the jnana yoga, self-knowledge, and the restraint of the life force is the other, the kriya yoga or ashtanga yoga. However, yoga has come to mean only the latter. Yet both methods lead to the same goal. People, when you say yoga, they immediately think only of the other yoga, which is asana, pranayama, niyama, and so on. He says there is the other yoga also, which is jnana yoga, where you inquire and figure out. When you normally say yoga, people think only of this yoga. But if this yoga and that yoga can be put together, if there can be a some yoga of this yoga and that yoga, that will be the best. Now you see in the Bhagavad Gita, each chapter is called an yoga. What is the intention of the Bhagavad Gita? To take you to the understanding of the Supreme Truth, which of course will be found in the last chapter in detail, Jnana Yoga, Sannyasa Yoga. There is also the other yoga, which is in the 6th chapter, Abhyasa Yoga. So what Vyasa has done in the Gita is to bring together all these different approaches to the truth and put them together in a concise, understandable manner. So therefore each chapter is called yoga. In fact, the end of every chapter of the Gita, at the end of every chapter of the Gita, the sentence used is, this is the Gita, iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So what does it teach? What you are studying here in how? Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishads. This is the Upanishad, the essence of the Upanishad. And what does Upanishad teach? What is here? Brahma Vidyayam, the knowledge of the Supreme Brahman. But also Yoga Shastre, the science of yoga, the Shastra of yoga, Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvad. Right. So now, it starts with Arjuna Vishada Yoga. There is no practice described there in Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It's simply that Arjuna is in a state of utter disillusionment, depression. And when Yoga Vasishtha is taught what's Rama doing, he is also in utter disillusionment, in depression. That's where it starts. So, the starting point is when one, even without practicing anything, maybe in the past life, we don't know, realizes that this is not what I am meant to be. This is not life. I need to get out of this. There is something more. When that starts, then starts yoga. Well, there are other yogas like yoga for well-being, yoga for health. That's fine, no problem. But truly, when the Upanishads say yoga and the Yoga Vasishtha says yoga, this is what they mean. There is also yoga where you shut up the room and sweat, something it's called, I don't know. Hot yoga. Steaming yoga. What? Hot yoga. And then there is hot yoga and there is cold yoga, where you shut yourself up in a place full of ice cubes. And if you don't freeze to death, you get moksha in the end. What kind of yoga? Anyway, so you know what I wanted to mention was in the Gita, every chapter is an yoga. There is also Bhakti Yoga. But now that you should not take it lightly and think that Bhakti means every day light a lamp or sing bhajans and say Krishna, Krishna and all. The mind has to be clean. Otherwise, in the ecstasy of singing, for the short moment you may go to great heights of mind upliftment. When it is over, you fall down like a stone to the lowest depths. This is the problem. Because emotions, when they are heightened, if the mind is pure, it won't happen. So therefore, the practice of cleaning the mind is important. And then, if not, the heightened emotion, it can't stay there forever, right? Then it falls. When it falls, sometimes it falls very badly. This is, now, okay. Now, there is a chapter in the Gita called Bhakti Yoga, right? What is the essence of the chapter called Bhakti Yoga? You must have read. Main thing is that even if you say this is Bhakti Yoga, you should realize where your limitations are, how to clean your mind. Simply, it doesn't happen. The great bhaktas, you know the famous Gujarati song, who was the person who sang? Narsingh Mehta's song. I am becoming senile. Narsingh Mehta's song. What is the song? Vaishnava Janato Tene Kahiye Ji Peed Parai Mane Re Paradukhe Upakari Kare To He Mana Bhiman Nani Re. This is the song. This is a bhakta. Narsui also sang. What he is saying is a real bhakta is one who sees the pain of others, and having seen it, if he helps that person to get rid of that pain, mana abhimana nire, he doesn't say I did it for him and have the ego sense blow up. When the mind is there in that state, then the Lord can come in any form, in any state. You don't have to move even one. You move 1 inch and the Lord moves 10 inches toward you. But the mind has to be pure. And the heart's intention should be only that and nothing else. Then this is Bhakti Yoga. Can I diverse a little bit? Are you okay with that? Or you are in a hurry to finish the Yoga Vasishtha? All this is Yoga Vasishtha. You know about the great bhaktas. Now we know. Go to the temple, weigh myself in Kerala they do it, in Guruvayur. You go and sit in a balance and then you put this side bananas and gold and things, depends upon how much money you have. And then when it becomes equal, you give it. This is one form of bhakti. Okay, fine. You're not sitting and eating all the bananas yourself. Well, if you eat, you know where you'll go. But this is one. Then I go every day and light a lamp. It's okay, normal, we are human beings. I'm not saying anything. Oh Lord, please help me get a husband. Or the Gopikas went and prayed to Katyayani, not the one in the kitchen, Katyayani. Oh Devi, make Krishna our husband. Never happened. So this is also bhakti. Or I want promotion, and my boss is terrible. I can't work under him. I'm expecting that there may be such prayers because I get emails. My boss is terrible, I can't work under him. So please do something. So next question, reply back. You want him to die or you want to change your job? What can God do if you ask such? Not me. Even I can't do it. But so, anyway, this is also bhakti. We consider this also. And I enjoy singing bhajans and so on. This is also bhakti, kirtans. Not for any reason, but I enjoy it. That's also bhakti. But the ultimate bhakti is when one is ready to take on any pain and sorrow and still remain attached to the Lord. Sometimes when you think your bhakti is intensifying, the Lord also tests you. Instead of giving good things, He bestows you with sorrow. Then you say, what Lord? Then you shift to somebody else. This is what happened with me and Krishna, now I'm going to Shiva or something. So the attitude is important, then it becomes bhakti, then that bhakti becomes yoga. Right? You know Kunti's prayer in the Bhagavatam. Please don't pretend to be Kunti, because you can't fool the Lord. If you ask, you will get it, and then you will run for your lives. Kunti's prayer, bring all the sorrows of the world on my head so that I will keep calling you for help. When I keep calling you for help, you will come, certainly I know. And so I keep getting your darshana, so I get more sorrows. So it's wonderful. Don't pretend. If it's really Kunti, that's a different matter altogether. Or Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa went before Kali, take everything, I don't want anything, I want only you. Now don't try this before which your mind happens. One pull of the rug and you'll start shivering, you say, please give me back everything I had. There was a lady grandmother who used to go to a temple, it's a Devi temple, and pray every day. And she wanted her daughter-in-laws, many, and children and everyone to hear that she was a very pious lady. So she would go with them. As soon as she went to the temple, she'll start, "Oh Devi, Amme, Mother, Mago, please take me away. Why you are keeping me here? I am not interested in anything." But all the keys to the treasury were in her, tied to her sari. Anyway, I am not interested, take me away. So the priest was hearing it every day, he got fed up with this. He knew this nonsense. One day he went and stood behind the Devi. It has many arms, so he put two more. It's difficult to make out. She came and said, "Please take me away. I don't want anything." He said, "Come." That's all. He ran for her life. The question was, who will look after the grandchildren? I know of a case when floods happened in Kedar Badri. One child got lost. Small, and it was sitting on a rock crying. Now you would think, who will take care of that child? There was one guy passing through. Incidentally, who is the member of parliament in Uttarakhand. He saw this little child crying and he didn't know what to do. He just picked up the child and to his wife said, "What will we do?" Keep quiet. Brought her home and brought her up. So your question is, who will take care of it? Somebody was found to take care of the child. You think you are I think I am taking care of the child. The child is being taken care of. Now the child has grown up, named it also Ganga. So, bhakti is not a trifling matter. It's something more. And in the chapter called Bhakti Yoga in the Gita, when Arjuna asks the question of who is the greatest bhakta according to you, O Krishna, Krishna uses three words. One, bhakta who is dearest to my heart is samniyam indriya gramam, who has control over all his indriyas. All is said. This is Krishna in the Gita. Please, I am not saying anything. One who has control over all his senses. And two, sarvatra samabuddhaya, whose buddhi is calm and tranquil under all This is what is Rama and Vasishta are talking about. Sarvatra samniyam indriya gramam, one who has control over all his senses together. Sarvatra samabuddhaya, one whose mind is tranquil under all circumstances. He says buddhi, but it means thought. And sarva bhuta hite rata, one who is interested only in the welfare of all living beings. If these three qualities are there, says Krishna, no matter how one approaches me, that is yaha bhakta same priya, that bhakta is closest to me. So, do you see any difference between what Vasishta is telling Rama and what Vyasa said in the Gita? Baki sab, the rest is all, man-made. Now the latest fashion is Bhairav mantra. I don't know what the hell. Everybody comes to me, "Can you give me that Bhairav?" I said, "I don't know any Bhairav. He doesn't come to my back door every day, so I don't know him." Or you get off from the flight and somebody has been traveling, you're way late. "Can you give me the Sri Vidya?" Is this a joke? Is this a joke? I mean, do you know what you're asking for? And do you know there are no shortcuts? At least I don't know any shortcuts. Anyway, doesn't matter, let's go. So, Rama said, Lord, by your grace, I am fully awakened to the reality. I hope you don't mind these diversions. It sets things in place. My delusion has vanished. I shall do as you bid me to do. Surely, I rest peacefully in the state of one who is liberated even while living. Pray, tell me how one reaches the state of liberation by the other method which you told me, life force, prana, restraint of the life force, and by the annihilation of all self-limitations or psychological conditioning. Vasishtha continued, they call it yoga, which is the method by which this cycle of birth and death ceases. It is the utter transcendence of the mind, and it is of two types. What he's trying to say is yoga is not just the yoga that you think of, standing on your head, but Jnana Yoga is also yoga. There are many other yogas to approach. Self-knowledge is one type, which is Jnana Yoga, and restraint of the life force is another. However, yoga has come to mean only the latter. Yet, both methods lead to the same result. To some, self-knowledge through inquiry is difficult. To others, yoga is difficult. But my conviction is that the path of inquiry is not so difficult as it seems. It's easy. Because self-knowledge is simply the ever-present truth. But I shall now describe to you the method of yoga. Vasishtha continued. In the infinite and indivisible consciousness, there is a mirage-like world appearance in one corner, as it were. The Creator, who is the parent cause for this world appearance, dwells there. I am his mind-born son. Vasishtha, nobody knows his mother, father or anybody. Vasishthas. He is considered to be the mind-born son of Brahma. What a teacher Rama got. I am his mind-born son. Once when I was in heaven, meaning some other realm, I heard from sages the stories of long-lived beings. Some sages said there are beings who have lived for many yogas. In course of this discussion, the great sage Satha Tapa said to Vasishtha, in one corner of the Mount Meru, there is a Kalpataru, is a wish-fulfilling tree. On that tree there dwells a crow, not a human being, a crow, known as Bhusunda. There is a crow called Bhusunda who lives there on that tree on Mount Meru in one corner, who is utterly free from all attraction and aversion. There is none on earth or in heaven who has lived longer than he has. If any one of you can live as he lives, that shall be regarded as highly laudable and meritorious. I heard these words. I was greatly inspired. So soon I set out to meet this Bhusunda. Instantly I reached the peak of Mount Meru and the tree where Bhusunda lived. Instantly meaning he thought he should go there and he was there. That's why human beings sometimes in a dream, when they go to sleep, they wish they have to be there somewhere, and as soon as they sleep they're there. Not always, many times, sometimes. Because the mind can go where it wants at any point without the restraint of the body. But here is a great yogi, son of Brahma, he wants to see Bhusunda and he is there. I reached the peak of the Mount Meru and the tree where Bhusunda lived. Perfected sages who could assume any form they like also dwelt on it. It was an enormous tree of immeasurable dimensions. I saw the different types of birds that dwelt on the tree. At a great distance on the tree, I saw crows. There were many crows. Among them, I saw the great Bhusunda, the long-lived. He had lived through several world cycles, several yogas. He remembered even those who lived eons ago. But he remained silent. He was free from I-ness and mindness. He was the friend and relative of all. I descended right in front of Bhusunda. He knew that I was Vasishta and welcomed me appropriately. He then said to me, I consider it a great blessing that after a long time you have given us your darshan, that you have visited. You are the greatest among those who are worthy of adoration. And you have come here only as a result of my accumulated merit. Pray tell me the immediate reason for this visit of yours. I replied as follows. You are truly blessed in that you enjoy the supreme peace all around you. In that you are endowed with the highest wisdom, self-knowledge. And in that you are not caught in the net of illusion known as the world appearance. Pray, enlighten me in regard to a few facts concerning yourself. Give me your biodata. In what clan were you born? How did you acquire the knowledge of that which alone deserves to be known? What is your age now? Now this sentence is very nice. How did you acquire the knowledge of that which alone deserves to be known? How did you acquire, what is your age now? Do you remember anything concerning the past? Who is it that ordained that you shall be long lived and you shall live on this tree? Bhusunda replied, since you ask these questions concerning me, O sage, I shall duly answer them. Which means if somebody else had asked, I would have just kept quiet. Pray, listen attentively. The story I am about to narrate is so inspiring that those who listen will destroy their sins by listening to it. Bhusunda said, in this universe, there is a great divinity known as Hara, who is Mahadeva, the god of gods, and who is adored by all the gods in heaven. His consort occupies one half of his body, Ardhanarishwara. His lieutenants are goblins and ghosts that have heads and hands like razors and faces like bears, camels, mouse, etc. And female deities who feed on the beings in the 14 worlds and dance in front of him. These are his attendants. So Mahadeva's attendants are terrible fellows. And still he is Mahadeva. Once I asked Maheshwarnath Babaji, yesterday you were sitting in Nilkant and you were surrounded by all these Aghori guys and they were all bowing down to you with skulls in their neck. Why are you associating with these guys? He said, Mahadeva is always accompanied by ghosts and goblins. What are of me? Anyway, the female deities who feed on the beings in the 14 worlds dance in front of him. Of these, Alambusha is the most famous. One of the ladies who drink blood and then dance before Mahadeva. The most famous of them was called Alambusha. Now all these have one vahana. You all have, vahana, vehicles. Like we all have, right? Toyotas or electric EVs or whatever. They all have vehicles. Now her vehicle is a crow. Whenever she wants to fly somewhere, she sits on a crow, which is extremely powerful and which is blue in color. Once upon a time, all these female deities assembled in space, in Akasha. They divinely worship the divinity known as Tumburu, which is one of the aspects of Rudra, and engage themselves in a left-handed ritual which is supposed to reveal the supreme truth. Now when you say left-handed ritual, that doesn't mean that they perform the ritual with the left hand. The left-handed ritual means, okay, I love you, keep shouting. So, the left-handed path means the Vamachara. There are two paths in Tantra. One is called the Kaulachara or Vamachara. We will not go too much into it lest people get interested. We don't want that anyway. There are people who practice it, no problem. Because according to the Kularnava Tantra, for instance, most human beings are pashus, which means animals. And they can approach divinity also only through animal ways. They cannot do it in a decent way. So this has been prescribed, Vamachara. So these female gauls, the attendants of Shiva, they assembled in Akasha, in space, and duly worshipped the divinity known as Tumburu, which is a very ferocious female aspect of Rudra, and engaged themselves in the left-handed ritual to find the supreme truth. Ultimately, this way or that way, according to the Varivashya Rahasya, one finally reaches the goal. And for some people this is better. It works on the principle bhogo yogayate, so yoga through bhoga. Now, we don't practice that, I'm just saying, there's also. And it's an extremely dangerous path, because though it's called bhogo yogayate, people who go into it usually get stuck with the bhoga, no yoga after that. So unless you have a really good guide, it's dangerous to practice. You may sink lower when you wanted to go upper, fly higher. And in this ritual, 5 M's are used. Nothing to do with this. Panchamakaras, of which one is Madhu. You know, they have named my room Madhu there. Madhu is what? Liquor. Another M is Maithuna, means sexual union. Another M is Mamsa, flesh, and so on. So these 5 M's, she is an expert, she knows all the 5 M's. She reads a lot. So, they were practicing it. Now what we were taught was what is called Samaya Marga. So Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavad himself was a practitioner of Tantra of the right hand path called Samaya Marga, where they do not indulge in the Panchamakaras. Which is why he wrote the Saundarya Lahari, which is a description actually of the Samaya Marga of Shri Vidya Upasana, if you know how to find it. I think he got it from his family. So anyway, so they were practicing it. They began to perform various rites, and intoxicated as they were by wine. Soon they got intoxicated with the madhu. The Samaya Margins get intoxicated by the madhu that falls from the roof of the mouth when the khechari is done. They actually had madhu and they were drunk. Soon they began to discuss an important question. Now I had a friend, 2 friends actually, who in the evening would get their bottle and have 2 glasses and sit down and discuss great scheme. Only when this went in, they would think of how to improve your business and new business. By the time they finished the discussion, for money they would be starting saying nani, drunk. And in the morning, no business, nothing. They have to eat some tablets, headache. So in the same way, it usually happens. You want wine? I thought she's asking her to give me some money. So, I don't have, okay? I have, but I don't know if you can drink it. So they began to perform various rites and they got intoxicated by the wine. Soon they began to discuss an important question. What was that? How is it that the Lord of Uma, Hara, Shiva, treats us contemptuously? When we are dancing and having our madhu and all our rituals, why does Hara look like that? And why is he so contemptuous? What are these girls doing? And things like. They made up their minds. We shall demonstrate our prowess in such a way that he will not look at us with contempt ever after. What did they do? They overwhelmed Uma. Uma. They overwhelmed Uma by their magic powers, separated her from her Lord Hara. That's what they did. They influenced Uma and they separated, they put their hands around her shoulder and brought them to this side. All the female deities sang and danced in ecstasy. Some drank, some sang, some laughed, some roared, some ran, some fell, some ate flesh. The female swans, you know the swans, white swans? The female swans, which were the vehicles of goddess Brahmi, danced along with the crow Kanda, which was Alambusha's vehicle. We heard of one Alambusha, famous one. And the crow Kanda was her vehicle, her Vahan. So the female swans, which were the vehicles of goddess Brahmi, danced along with the crow Kanda, which was Alambusha's vehicle. One by one, all the swans mated with the crow Kanda. They were all drunk. But in these rituals of the Kaulachara, it happens sometimes. After drinking, dancing and meditating, I don't know what to say. Because they're drunk. Soon they became pregnant. The swans informed Brahmi of everything that happened. The goddess Brahmi said to the swans, "Since you are all big with child now, you will not be able to perform your duties. Hence, for some time, go where you please. Go. Now you can't do any of the work. You can't look after me. You all become big with child. So please go away somewhere." After saying this, she sat down in deep contemplation. This Bhusunda is a great storyteller. The swans laid, all said by Bhusunda to Vasishta, the swans laid 21 eggs at the proper time, and they were hatched. Thus 21 of us were born in the family of Kanda, the crow. Along with our mothers, we adored the goddess Brahmi. By her grace we attained self-knowledge and liberation. We then approached our father, who fondly embraced us. All of us then worshipped the goddess Alambusha. Kanda said, children to his children, "Children, have you gone beyond the dragnet known as the world appearance? And after having cut the shackles of vasana or mental conditioning, have you? If you have not, come, let us adore the goddess by whose grace you will attain the highest wisdom." And we replied, Father, we have gained knowledge that is worth gaining by the grace of the goddess Brahmi. But now, we need a secluded and excellent place to dwell. We need to live in a quiet, secluded place and meditate on it. In accordance with our Father's instructions, all of us came here and took up our abode in this nest. Bhusunda continued, there was a world in days of yore which is not far from our memory. We witnessed it ourselves. Vasishta asked, what happened to your brothers? I see only you here. Bhusunda continued, a very long time had passed, O sage. In course of time, my brothers abandoned their physical existence and ascended to heaven, to the heaven where Lord Mahadeva lives. Each of the great devas have their own places. Indeed, even long-lived persons who may be holy and saintly and strong are consumed in the course of time by death. Vasishta asked, then, how is it that you have remained unaffected by the heat and cold and the wind and the fire? Bhusunda continued, truly, to be embodied as a crow, held in contempt by people, is not a happy state. Though the Creator has amply provided for the survival of even the humble crow, but we have remained immersed in the self, happy and contented. Hence, we have survived in spite of ever so many calamities. We have remained firmly established in the self, having abandoned vain activities that are but torment of the body and mind. To this physical body there is misery neither in life nor in death. Hence we remain as we are, not seeking anything other than what is. It's interesting, even ordinary crows, except when they sat in an electric line or died or something like that accident, you can never see a dead crow. They will be usually flying around. We don't know how long they are there. Have you seen a crow growing old and dying? You can't see. I don't know what happened. Anyway, we have seen the fate of the worlds. We have mentally abandoned identification with the body, established in self-knowledge and remaining on this tree. I see the passage of time. Through the practice of pranayama, I have risen above the division of time. Hence, I am at peace within my heart and I am not affected by the events of the world. Let all beings vanish or come into existence. We have no fear at all. Let all these beings enter into the ocean known as time or death. But we are seated on the shores of that ocean, unaffected. We neither accept nor do we reject. We appear to be, but we are not what appears to be. Thus do we remain in this tree. Though we engage ourselves in diverse activities, we do not get drowned in the mental modifications and we never lose contact with reality. Lord, that nectar for which the gods churned the ocean, you know that story we discussed, gods churning the ocean for Amrit. That nectar for which the gods churned the ocean is inferior to the nectarine blessing that flows from the very presence of sages like you, says Bhusunda, to Vasishta. I consider nothing more praiseworthy than the company of sages who are free from all cravings and desires. Holy One, even though I have already attained self-knowledge, I consider that my birth has been truly fulfilled because I have seen you today and have been in your company. Bhusunda continued. This wish-fulfilling tree is not shaken by the various natural calamities, nor by the cataclysms caused by living beings. There have been several of the latter when demons had tried to destroy or overwhelm the earth, and also when the Lord has intervened and rescued the earth. During all these, this tree here has remained unaffected. Even the flood and the scorching heat of the sun during cosmic dissolution have not succeeded in shaking this tree. On account of this, we who dwell on this tree have also escaped harm. Evil overtakes one who lives in an unholy place. This Bhusunda, the crow, who has attained liberation, lives on the top of the tree of life. Nothing can shake it. Vasishta asked, but at the end of the life of the cosmos, when everything is dissolved, how have you managed to survive? Bhusunda replied, during that period, O sage, I abandoned this nest, even as an ungrateful man abandons his friend. Then I remain united with cosmic space, totally free from all thoughts and mental modifications. When the 12 cosmic suns pour unbearable heat upon this civilization, I practice the Varuni Dharana and remain unaffected. Varuna, is the lord of the waters. Varuna. When the wind blows with such force as to uproot mountains, I practice the Parvati Dharana and remain unaffected. What is Parvati Dharana? It's nothing to do with Parvati. In grammar, when Parvata is used as an explaining word, it becomes Parvati. When the wind blows with such force, even to uproot mountains, I practice the Parvati Dharana and remain unaffected. Parvata is mountain, and Parvati Dharana is contemplation of the mountain. When the whole universe is flooded with waters of cosmic delusion, I practice Vayu Dharana and remain unaffected. Vayu is wind. Then I remain as if in deep sleep till the beginning of the next cosmic cycle. When Brahma begins to create a new cosmos, I come back and sit in my nest. Nothing happens to me. Vasishta asked, why is it that others are not able to do what you have done? Bhusunda replied, O sage, the will of the Supreme Being cannot be transgressed. It is His will that I should be like this, and that others should not be like this. One cannot fathom nor measure what has to be. In accordance with the nature of each being, that which is to be comes to be. Therefore, in accordance with my thought force or conception, this tree is found in every world cycle at this place in this manner. But to sit there, one has to be the humble crow. Vasishtha asked, "You enjoy such longevity. I should suggest that you have attained final liberation and you are wise, brave, you are a great yogi. Pray tell me, what extraordinary events do you remember relating to this and the previous world cycles?" Bhusunda said, "I remember that once upon a time there was nothing on this earth, neither trees and plants nor mountains. For a period of 11,000 years, the earth was covered by lava. In those days, there was neither day nor night below the polar region." One would wonder how Yoga Vasishtha, which is written so many thousand years ago, or so many hundred years, let's say. Anybody talking about lava and the polar region. For in the rest of the earth, neither the sun nor the moon shone. Only one half of the polar region was illuminated. Then demons ruled the earth. They were deluded, powerful and prosperous, and the earth was their playground. Giants. Apart from the polar region, the rest of the earth was covered with water. And then for a long time the whole earth was covered with forests, except the polar region. Then there arose great mountains, but there were no human inhabitants. For a period of 10,000 years the earth was covered with the dead bodies of the giant demons who lived here. At one time the gods who used to roam the skies had vanished from sight, and the earth had become more like a single mountain. I remember many such events. But let me narrate to you what is important. If I start, then I can go on. I know everything. I've seen everything. But let me tell you only what is important for you. During my lifetime, I have seen the appearance and disappearance of countless Manus. Manus are the progenitors of the human race. I have seen many Manus come and many Manus go. At one time the world was devoid of gods and demons, but there was one radiant cosmic egg, the Hiranyagarbha. At another time the earth was populated by those Brahmanas, members of the priest class, who knew how to perform rituals, but who were addicted to alcohol, who ridiculed the gods and polyandrous women. I also remember another epoch when the earth was covered with forests, when the ocean could not even be imagined, and when human beings were spontaneously created. At that time, there was neither the mountain nor the earth. The gods and the sages dwelt in space. At another time, there were neither gods nor sages, only darkness prevailed. I have seen all this. First there arose the notion of creation, then light and the division of the universe arose. Then one after the other the diverse beings came into being, as also the stars and the planets. I saw that during one epoch it was Lord Vishnu, generally considered to be the protector, or preserver who created the universe. During another, it was Brahma who created. In another, it was Shiva who became the creator. Whatever is happening in the present creation has happened exactly in the same manner during these previous creations. But I remember the events of 10 such creations. This much I remember. Vasishta asked, "Oh, Bhusunda, how is it that your body has not been consumed by death?" Bhusunda replied, "Death does not wish to kill one who does not have raga and dvesha, attraction and aversion, or false notions and mental habits. Death does not wish to kill one who does not suffer from mental illness of thinking that the real is unreal and the unreal is real, who does not entertain desires and hopes which give rise to anxieties and worry, who is not poisoned by greed, whose body and mind are not burnt by the fire of anger and hate, who is not churned and ground by the mill of lust, who is firmly established in the pure awareness of the Brahman, the Absolute, and whose mind is not distracted like a monkey. He whose mind and heart are established in supreme peace is not touched by the blinding evils born of lust and hate. Even the contemplation of the self, which is infinite consciousness, even a minute of contemplation, banishes sorrow, terminates the long dream vision of world appearance, purifies the mind and the heart, and dispels worries and misfortunes. But this contemplation of the self has comrades, as it were, that closely resemble such contemplation. Such contemplation is what is required, but it also has comrades. I mean, not the Marxists, the comrades, as it were, that closely resemble such contemplation. Among them is the contemplation of life force or prana, which enables one to overcome sorrow and to promote auspiciousness. It is that contemplation of prana that has bestowed longevity and also self-knowledge on me. Lord, look at this enchanting body, which is supported by 3 pillars. What are the 3 pillars? The 3 nadis, Ida, Pingala, Sushumna, and endowed with 9 gates, the 9 openings of the body, which is protected by the ego sense, which has 8 consorts and several relatives, the root elements. Enclosed right in the middle of this body are the subtle Ida and Pingala. There are 3 lotus-like wheels. These wheels are composed of bones and flesh. When the vital air wets the wheels, the petals or the radii of the lotus wheels begin to vibrate and spin. The vital airs expand on account of their expansion. These nadis thereupon radiate above and below. Sages call these vital airs by different names: prana, apana, samana, etc., on account of their diverse functions. These functions derive their energy from the central psychic center, which is the heart lotus. That energy which thus vibrates in the heart lotus is known as prana. It enables the eye to see, the skin to feel, the mouth to speak, the food to be digested, and it performs all the functions of the body. It has two different roles, one above and one below, and it is then known as prana and apana respectively. I am devoted to them. They are free from fatigue, shine like the sun and the moon and the heart, are like the cart wheels of the mind, which is the guardian of the city known as the body, and are the favorite horses of the king known as ego sense. Being devoted to them, I live as if in deep sleep, but not sleeping, forever in homogeneous consciousness. He who adores the prana and apana thus is not reborn in the world again and is freed from all bondage. Bhusunda continued, prana is constantly in motion inside and outside the body. Prana is that vital air which is established in the upper part of the body. Apana is similarly and constantly in motion inside and outside the body, but it dwells in the lower part. Pray. Listen to the practice of the extension or control of this life force, which is conducive to the welfare of one who is awake or asleep. The efflux of the vital force centered in the heart lotus of its own accord and without effort, it is known as rechaka or exhalation. The flux of the vital force centered in the heart lotus of its own accord without effort is known as rechaka or exhalation. The contact with the source of the pranic force, which is located downward to the length of 12 fingers in the heart lotus, is known as puraka or inhalation, exhalation. When the apana has ceased to move, where is apana? Here, down. When the apana has ceased to move, and when the prana does not arise or move out of the heart, it is known as kumbhaka or retention of a filled pot, kumbhak, kumbha mela. Here also there is a sangam of 3 rivers. Ida, Pingala and Shushumna. And when you do Kumbhak, you are filling the water of the 3 rivers in the pot. It is known as Kumbhaka, retention as of a filled pot. There are said to be 3 points for Rechaka, Kumbhaka and Puraka. 1. Rechaka, outside the nose. 2. Puraka, from below the place known as Dvadashanta, above or in front of the forehead at a distance of 12 fingers. And 3rd, the source of prana, the heart lotus. Pray. Listen to the natural and effortless movement of the life force at all times. The movement of the vital air up to the extent of 12 fingers from oneself constitutes Rechaka. That state in which the apana force remains in the Dvadashanta, like the unfashioned pot in the potter's clay, should be known as external kumbhaka. I'll explain. When the outgoing air moves up to the tip of the nose, it is known as Rechaka. When it moves up to the extent of Dvadashanta, it is known as external Rechaka. when the movement of prana has ceased outside itself, and as long as the apana does not arise, it is called external kumbhaka. When, however, the apana flows inwards, without the prana rising within, they call it internal kumbhaka. When the apana rises in dvadashanta and attains internal expansion, it is known as internal puraka. He who knows this kumbhaka is not born again. Whether one is going or standing or awake or asleep, these vital airs, which are naturally restless, are restrained by these practices. Then, once restrained, whatever he does or eats, he who knows this kumbhaka is not the doer of these actions. In a very few days he attains the supreme state. He who practices this kumbhaka is not attracted by external objects. They are endowed with his vision, whether they are stationary or moving or bound. They have attained that which is worthy of being attained. Now, this thing which is repeatedly expressed as dvadashantam is actually is somewhat like a magnetic field around the body. 12 finger widths around the body, protecting the body. It's also composed of prana and apana. When the impurity of one's heart and body have been destroyed by thus devoting to prana and apana, one is freed from delusion, attains inner awakening and rest in one's own self, even while doing whatever has to be done. Lord, prana arises in the lotus of the heart and terminates at a distance of 12 finger breadths outside the body. If by some reason, for some reason, or due to, I don't know, you are able to see, suppose, don't try, I'm just saying, the space around your body all round 12 inches, suppose. But if you look, you will go beyond, because there is space, you will see the person behind. Suppose you have focused somehow, being cross-eyed or whatever, and you can actually objectively, suppose, see the space around the body, not the body, for 12 inches. I mean, when you say 12 inches, it's not so accurate. You will see the prana shining right up to there, not only up to the limit of the body. Now, if I say something about how this is done, then you will forget all other sadhana and only be doing this. So I do not want to say. If you promise not to keep doing it all the time, I will tell you. But you will do it, I don't. Yeah? You go. Now this is a problem. For the first sentence I am going to say maybe what I am going to say may be misused and built only the ego. Find yourself a full-length mirror. Now the problem is, if you find a full, you will not do any of these exercises, you will only look at this. Walking from the bathroom, you look going back. Suppose. And then make sure that you're alone. Lock the door so that nobody comes in. Then throw away all your clothes. That's why I didn't tell you. And after throwing away all your clothes, don't stand in front of the mirror and dance. Stand, or best to stand, or you can sit. And try to look at your reflection in the mirror. Now while you look at your reflection, don't look at your image or the outline, but look outside the outline. Focus in the mirror, just outside your body. Nothing is there, but just keep looking. Then close your eyes again. Again look. Again. One day, when you open your eyes after closing, you will see that there's something is around your body in the mirror. And if you don't buy a full-length mirror and fix it in Switzerland, you already have. So when I come, please put a screen on it, okay? Then one day you'll see it, and then if you see it, now you'll get curious. Then you'll have learned how to adjust your sight by blurring the figure and seeing only what is not blurred. What is blurred. So once you know it, then you can look at somebody sitting here and unfocus and see around. Don't look at the person. Don't be nervous, I'm not looking. You look around in that space. Then you'll see that this pranic force is outside the body also to some extent. It also gives out some heat. Please don't go home and immediately buy a full-length mirror and start doing it. Even if you do it, please lock the door from inside. When the impurity of one's heart and mind have been destroyed, but no, when they're referring to equalizing the prana and apana, they're trying to say is make the inhalation and external exhalation of the same length, roughly, so that the prana and the apana are balanced. And then look into the heart center first, where the prana shines forth, where it is usually stored. And then allow it to go up from here towards the Sahasrara and view the prana there with your mind. When you exhale, give complete attention to the exhalation. When you inhale, give complete attention to the inhalation. A certain stage will come when your breath will cease almost imperceptible. You are neither inhaling nor exhaling. This is called Kumbhak, but not the Kumbhak which you artificially do, holding your breath, which of course stills the mind because the prana stops for some time. This is keval Kumbhak, when you don't want to breathe in or breathe out and you are not feeling suffocated. Naturally it comes. And this happens, then you are grounded. Then from there to the essence of your being is very simple. Provided your intention was to find the essence of. If your intention is only to see your aura, then this is all. You don't need a full-length mirror for this practice. Anyway, when the impurity of one's heart and mind have been destroyed by thus being devoted to prana and apana, which means giving complete attention to prana and apana, which means also to give complete attention to the in-breath and the out-breath with total attention. One is freed from delusion, attains inner awakening and rests in one's own self, even while doing whatever has to be done. Lord, Bhusunda is talking to Vasishtha. Lord, prana arises in the lotus of the heart, and we discussed that. If one is able to reach that space where apana unites with the prana, he does not grieve anymore, which means when you have reached the state of keval Kumbhak, where neither inhalation is required nor exhalation is required, when the prana and the apana are balanced, then one will not be born again, because the mind is then fully absorbed in the inner being. In fact, it's only the prana that undergoes a modification and appears as apana after abandoning its burning heat. So apana is the heat. And then the same prana, having abandoned the coolness of the moon, gains its nature as the purifying fire of the sun. The wise ones inquire into the nature of prana. As long as it does not abandon its solar nature to become lunar. One who knows the truth concerning the rising and the setting of the sun and the moon in one's own heart, which means what? The coming of the prana and the apana, is not born again. He who sees the Lord, the sun in one's heart, sees the truth. In order to attain perfection, one does not prevent nor protect external darkness, but strive to destroy the darkness of ignorance in the heart. When the external darkness goes, one is able to see the world. But when the darkness of ignorance in the heart is dispelled, there arises self-knowledge. Hence, one should strive to behold the prana and apana, whose knowledge bestows liberation. Apana terminates in the heart where prana arises. Where prana is born, there apana perishes. Where apana takes birth, prana ceases. When prana has ceased to move, and when apana takes birth, there prana ceases. When prana has ceased to move and apana is about to rise, one experiences external Kumbhak. Rooted in this, one should not grieve anymore. When apana has ceased to move, and when prana has arisen just a little, one experiences internal Kumbhak. Rooted in this, one does not grieve anymore. If one practices, I will explain, if one practices Kumbhak, suspension of breath, there are two kinds of Kumbhak. One is exhaling and holding the breath out. The other is inhaling and holding the breath in. If one practices Kumbhak, suspension of breath, after exhaling the prana to a distance further from where the apana arises, is not subject to sorrow anymore. Or, if one is able to see the space within oneself, where the inhaled breath turns into the impulse for exhalation, he is not born again. By seeing where the prana and apana terminate their motions, where they terminate them, and by holding fast to that state of peace, one is not subject to sorrow again. Okay. I do. Let's say that one is doing pranayama, sitting in a comfortable posture, keeping the spine and the neck and the head erect, beautifully described in Abhyasa Yoga, in the Gita. And then closing your eyes and fixing your attention on your breath. First time when you do that, you will find that the breathing is erratic. Control it and make it soft and quiet and not long or short, but sharp, quiet. Okay, how you close your eyes and watch, don't do anything now, watch your breath. As you watch your breath, you will see if it is erratic or if it is calm. If it is erratic, make it calm. How do we make it calm? Because erratic breath means the mind is full of thoughts jumping up and down. When it is calm, thoughts have subsided, mostly. So as you watch, say to yourself, now I am going to calm this breath which is running up and down. Then start breathing in. As you breathe in, softly, not hard, softly, follow the breath completely with your mind. Don't let the mind be engaged in any other activity except watching the breath. So, when you breathe in, watching your breath, then when you breathe in, you will naturally feel nice and you want to hold the breath, hold it for some time. Don't strain. Hold it only as long as you are comfortable. When you are holding it, fix your attention in the heart and see how nice it is. Hold it. Then, when you can hold no more, when you decide now I should breathe out, suppose without effort, without strain, without any trouble, you are still in Kumbhak and you don't want to breathe out, stay. If that is so, there are only two explanations. One, that the mind has subsided and the mind and the prana have got united, and when therefore the prana is calm, the mind has ceased to think. This is one. Other, dangerous. Your lungs is leaking the air and it will soon fill your abdomen. It's called hemorrhage. Bleeding may start. So don't try when you feel that you are suffocating. Suppose you are feeling nice. I think if you breathe gently and follow the breath, think that you are drawing all the prana into your anahat. Hold it there for some time, comfortably. Then exhale. While you exhale, get your mind to go with the breath out. Allow the mind to travel with the breath. When you have exhaled, I was describing, everybody is doing anyway. When you have exhaled comfortably, hold your breath out without breathing in and without strain. If it strains to come in, don't stop. It settles down, like when you give a deep sigh. What happens when you give a deep sigh? Why are you giving the deep sigh? Because of relief. When you give a deep sigh and when there is relief, watch your breath. Where is it now? It's out. But there is no strain of wanting to hold it out. But it's nice and cool. Then you start breathing again. Give complete attention, because you cannot hold it out like that unless your mind has become so still and the breath which is interwoven with the mind has also become still. Otherwise you cannot hold out. I think, or the wise ones think, that this happens gradually as you breathe, inhale and exhale and do the Kumbhak. And when you hold inside, it is internal Kumbhak. When you hold outside, it is external Kumbhak. If your aim is to free yourself from the limited mind and touch the super consciousness, that should be the intention when you start. Not to improve your health. And it happens, it happens. Then one day when you sit down, one day, I cannot say which day, one auspicious day, when you sit down, you might, just like I did a sigh now without my knowledge, and then you're sitting. There is no in-breathing, there is no out-breathing, therefore there is no thought. Only thing there is the awareness that I am. That is there. If I continue for some time in that, which I cannot continue, but it happens like that, then I am centered in the Supreme Self. But it can come only through practice, regular practice. And preferably in a place where there is fresh air. So Delhi is out of it. You can have an AC maybe, but then the AC also takes in the same air, purifies it. So if this works best, if you are in a cool, nice place where there is enough oxygen in the atmosphere, where there are many trees and where there are mountains, and where the morning the birds are chanting their mantras. Girls from Delhi are looking at me very unhappily. I'm just saying, okay, you can do in Delhi also. Go to some place like the tomb of Humayun or get inside and see. Go to Lodi Garden or somewhere. So, this is what Bhusunda is trying to teach. Vyasa, not teach, Vyasa already knows. Because Vyasa asked, can you tell me? Well, Bhusunda is telling him, sir, this is what I did and this is what I am. So you can also do it. Because the Supreme Self, according to the Yoga Vasishtha, is not far away, it's right inside you, it's your own being. And it's not barred from anybody. Even a crow has attained moksha, immortality. So keeping this in mind, if you sit down and do your pranayama, or do your japa and watch your breath, you can also link the chanting of the pranava with the breath. When you do You are exhaling softly and remaining in that ma when the breath is out. External Kumbhak. See? Then you breathe in, you inhale, fix your attention in the heart when you inhale. Again, Om. This is your exhalation. Now when you inhale, fill the Om, internal Om. When you inhale, you cannot chant Om. Fill the internal Om in the whole of your body, from the bottom to the top, from the crown of your head, and the last part of Om, when you do, fix your attention here. Start from here and fix your attention here. Let it move here. And enjoy. Gradually, if a person begins to center herself or himself in this, it becomes spontaneous and natural even when you're doing other things. You don't have to sit. That takes time till the prana is balanced. So this Yoga Vasishtha is important also because, one, it's the highest text on Vedanta available to us. Yet, it talks about the practices by which you can get there, which is the prana and the link of the life energies with prana and thought with prana, and how you can silence and go there. It also talks about the devotion of a person whose mind is pure. So therefore, it's considered to be a very important text to be studied and understood by the seeker of the truth. And being grounded in the understanding of Yoga Vasishtha, Rama lived like a god and became a god. People saw him as Dasharatha Nandana Rama, but for himself, he saw himself as Shuddha Brahma Paratpara Rama. So, even if we cannot live that much like Rama, you can to some extent live in Shuddha Brahma. So Ra is considered to be the sound of the inner being, and Ma is supposed to be the sound of the Maya of this world, which means the pure spirit clothed by the body of Maya is Rama. And potential Ramas are everywhere. One can get there if that is what one's intention is. What Yoga Vasishtha does in the beginning is to clear the intentions. What are you seeking? What do you want? And then goes to the other side. How did Parikshit learn about the Bhagavat, about the Lord? Because he knew that he was going to die in 7 days. The snake, Takshaka, is supposed to bite him in 7 days. He knew for certain that he was going to die, and since we all are going to die, in 7 days or 7 weeks or 7 months or 7 years, we are in the same position as Parikshit. And therefore, we should also become Parikshits. What is the meaning of Parikshit? One who examines, Pariksha. One who is examining to see what is the reality, what is that blue-colored being who came into the womb of my mother and kept the chakras away. Therefore, when Parikshit was born, he was examining. Whoever he met, he looked carefully. No, this is not the person. In the same way, the seeker after the Supreme Being examines carefully. Why? Death is going to come at any time. Parikshit took 7 days. It can happen in 1 minute. Nobody knows. So when there is that urgency, then one begins to examine, like Parikshit. Who is that blue-colored divinity? Where is he? And discovers that is in the heart itself, nowhere else. And if you see it here, you see it there, you see it everywhere. This is the teaching of the Yoga Vasishtha. As we go along, tomorrow we will do a little more. Today is 21st, 22nd tomorrow. After tomorrow we have only 2 days. So let's see what we can do. And how many Jivana Muktas go out of here. I'm not joking. I'm serious. If it happens, I will be happiest. But if it doesn't happen, I will still be happiest. What do you? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.